The brain processes nearly 10,000 visual and oral cues per minute. As first impressions stick, make the customer see your business in the right way. Funky Vibes can ensure your vibes attract the right tribe with their marketing expertise, graphic design, bespoke websites, and social media packages. For more information or a no-commitment initial consultation, simply email your tribe at funkyvibe.co.uk. You're listening to Chesh FM, exclusively on the Pod Station.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Chesh FM. My name is Mark. I'm the chairman. Joining me, we've sort of got a full house. We might have a few more joining us as we go on in our usual disorganised fashion. But we've got leading goal scorer Chris Cruikshanks. How are we doing, Chris?
Right, mate. You? How's everything going?
It's not too bad. Feeling confident about your leading goal scorer status at the minute?
Maybe if Connor and Pez get dropped next 2 games or something like that, they'll be out. We've been out injured as well.
Well, that of course nicely brings me on to our other two. So we've got Captain Perry Hughes. How are we doing, Pez?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Are you feeling confident and buoyed by Chris's lack of confidence in terms of finishing top goal scorer? You seem to be on a bit of a run at the minute.
Very confident, mate, yeah. Shit himself, hasn't he?
Lost his bottle. And of course, our other host, we've got Connor Porteous. How are we doing, Connor?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Now, I would ask you about how you were feeling about the top goal scorer position, because you've got the same number of goals as Pez, but unlike Pez, you seem to have hit a real bump in the road since you started using Rob Lee's number 7 shirt.
Correct. I think it's the pressure of the shirt. Maybe I need a break from the number. It's hard. It's hard to live up to that expectation. It's like the number 9 shirt in Newcastle. Some people can't handle it when they get it. It's sent players under.
And last but not least, we have the gaffer John Hughes. How are we doing, Yozza?
Yeah, very well, thanks, lads.
Yeah, he hasn't got his sound on yet, but we can see his lovely face, so that's good. Oh, yeah, connecting to audio now. It's exciting. There's a real build-up. There we go. He's connected now.
Do you know what, Mark? I'd be feeling a lot more confident about the Golden Boot race if I had myself to set myself up as well. These two haven't laid me on for 1 goal, but you can guarantee I've set them up.
Mr. Hughes, how are we doing?
Howdy, I'm fine, yeah.
We were just discussing as you were joining on about the Golden Boot chase, and we've got ourselves 3 of the 4 key individuals involved in that. Any preference to who you want to win?
Well, all I know is the season's over for Chris and Connor.
Wielding his power with intent, I think suffice to say, Gaffer.
Can't abuse it.
Exactly. So we've got loads to discuss today, so we'll crack straight on with it. First and foremost, what we do is we tend to go through and discuss some of our recent results. Well, since we last did a show, I think we've played about 6 games, so I think we'll run through some of them, but ever so scantly, I think, because we'll be here till Christmas otherwise. Just to recap on anyone who's unfamiliar, because we were in lockdown 6.7 or whatever it was, the league changed the rules on how many games you played in order to get the season finished sometime in 2021. And basically every team would play each other once, And if you'd played a team twice already at that point, then it'd be like a cup tie where it was the goals aggregate that would decide whether or not you got the 3 points, 1 point, or no points. So we've been basically polishing off the teams that we haven't yet played. Starting straight off the back of lockdown, we had Polton Royal at home, which we drew 0-0. Yours, what were your thoughts about that on the first game back after lockdown?
I thought it looked like we hadn't played for a while. You know, you're not, even though the lads had worked hard fitness-wise, you've got to play games to get your match fitness up, and they just didn't have that opportunity, unfortunately. And as it proved, the 0 on our part was a sign of things to come, wasn't it?
A quick question now. This is open to anyone, really. I mean, perhaps our prolific goal scorers might be best fielding this question, but are we a team who struggle to score goals? Because I was just looking through the stats, and I don't know whether it's a style or whether it just is what it is. But this season, we're 11th in the league in terms of goals scored, and yet we're 4th in the league for goals conceded. And if you go back to last season as well, last season we were 12th in the league for goals scored, but we were actually second in the league for goals conceded. So clearly we've got a mean defence, but we're not particularly prolific in front of goal. Is that a style thing? Is it because we're so good at the back that we're not scoring as many goals? What is it? Enlighten me, boys.
Quite a cagey league. I think it's quite close in terms of quality. I don't think there's not a team in that league who you'd say is miles better than anybody else. So I don't think it's the way we play. I just think that you don't get loads of chances in this league. Probably combine that with, I think us three in false position. None of us are really goal scorers, are we? We're probably lacking genuine finishers and stuff like that. You know, Leon's been long-term injured. Dude's got various problems with his body breaking down. Sammy Dickel gets volleyed everywhere every week, so he's injured. And we're finishing games with like me up front with little Tom who does really well, but he's obviously naturally a goalie. Chris has been flying for goals, but it's never really been his main thing that he brings.
Well, it's not defending though, is it? So what is his game?
I'll leave if you want me to leave, it doesn't bother me.
Get in that third house.
I think it's a bit like what Perry said, we're just struggling for a goal scorer, aren't we? Sammy's been injured for a while, Drew's in and out obviously, and then Leon's long term, isn't he? He's out for the season. And if we had them three fit and we chipped in with our goals, that we'd be up there, wouldn't we? Even more. Obviously if you got midfielders scoring, that's what you want, and Andy Dicko and Dylan chipping in with a few as well. That's what you want. If you had a 10-15 a goal, well, that's what Dude is, isn't he? That's what Dicko is, but they just haven't been available all the time.
And Connor, I was looking through some of the results, and I don't know, and maybe Yoz and Midge want to pitch in with this as well, but do we need to be more cutthroat with some of the teams towards the bottom end of the league? Polton Royal, accepting that this game's perhaps a slight difference because it was the first game back after a while, so the argument of rustiness is more than legitimate. But we've out of our 4 games against the bottom 6, we've won 1, drawn 2 and lost 1, and we've still got 2 to play. And I was looking back through the results from last year as well, and it's a bit similar. Do we take our foot off the pedal? Are we not clinical enough? Is it just not a thing? Has it just been that's been the rub of the green this last couple of years?
I think maybe, but a bit like sort of as we say now, it's quite close between a lot of the teams. Really, you very rarely have a game where you're much better than the other team or they're much better than you. So kind of whoever you play, it is quite sort of cagey. And then, what the others have just said, we've had, injuries to your strikers. And when you have injuries to your strikers, other people, I suppose, need to try and step up. But it's not really naturally what we do. So you're always up against it, aren't you? And I don't feel like I personally look at a team who's at the top of the league, who's at the bottom of the league, and get more up for it or anything like that. So, and I don't think anyone would, particularly with not being able to play for so long. Everyone was, has been banged up for the games, really.
Yeah.
So,
Am I wrong in saying that the only game that since we've been back that Sammy and Dude have played up front together was the South Liverpool 5-0 we won?
Oh, you've asked me the only question with no stats in front of me. I'll come back to that.
I'll answer it. Sam didn't play
Against Pull 5-0?
against South Liverpool.
Yeah, Sam wasn't there. Sam played.
Bremerhead, they both played.
Against Bolton Royal, both Dude and Sammy Dicko did play. You're right, Chris.
I meant South Liverpool.
All right, no, Sammy did play that.
Yeah, so I was wrong there. I thought that was the only game we played together and we won 5-0. That's what I thought it was.
He's just joined, but I'm going to go to his old man first. This game, Bolton, was the first game that Nat had actually played since December 2019. And actually, since then, in his 4 starts, he's won 3 man of the matches. So, Midge, how much did you spend paying for his 2 new knees?
Okay, out of fortune. Apologies for being late, lads, but I was getting my second jab, so I'm vaccinated now. Been trying for the last couple of years now to sort his knees out. We went private to start with, and then obviously just went through the Spire and then the National Health. And the guy who's done him, realistically, I think, well, Nat will tell you, I think he gave him the nod to say everything was fine, but obviously as Nat's been going along, his knees been hurting him. We want to go back again and try and see if we can. He's got a cyst or something on the side of it, and if that'll work. But it's more Nate can answer that question. It's not if we can pay for it, we'll pay for it. Try and get him done. Or
the club pay for it.
We couldn't afford your medical bills, Nat.
It's like the Bionic Man. Put them back together.
That's why I look like Oscar Pistorius now with me leg brace on, don't I, when I'm playing?
You better watch out then, hasn't she?
I mean, we were just saying that the Bolton Royal game was the first one you'd played since December 2019. How are your legs holding up?
Sure, a bit like knees. After the game, it's a bit sore, but like the 2 in the week the other day, that was no good. Like I was the full week burning my knees, but that one game, I'm all right after that. Once it's strapped up and whatever, it's all right.
I know what Jimmy says though, and Jimmy's being sensible. It's the long-term effects. You know, me and John and that we played years ago. You don't seem to have the injuries that are going on now. All these new injuries that have popped up. John, you back us up. You know, we got kicked to fuck years ago, but we're still running around. But now, I think some people do actually bring some of these injuries that you see on the telly, and you think, oh yeah, I've got that. You know, and instead of pain. But don't get me wrong.
Is he slagging your own son off like that, mate?
So yeah, are you saying he's just pulling the sickie? Yeah,
blagging it. Yeah, blagging it. Trying to get days off work. He's got no fucking chance.
Yours, you strike me as someone who dished it out more than received the injuries.
Look, can be deceptive, Mark. I was more of a ball player than anything else. From what I remember, anyway. The thing is, where the difference is, I think, is you were frightened to show that you were injured, especially on the pitch, because that injury became a target for the opposition. And like Midge said, they used to get away with murder. And also, if you showed you were injured for the following game, then someone else got in, you'd struggle to get back in. So you just hid it and played on. What I did, anyway.
We had Saturday and Sunday. I don't know as many. Chris, you just play the Sundays still?
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, so if you look at our squad, there's not many doing Saturday and Sunday, but back in, obviously, when we were playing with John, and we obviously different teams now, but you played Saturday and Sunday and trained as well, you know.
Played midweek.
Yeah. Or, you know, anytime you had the ball, you get it out. But the problem was, as John said, and we're trying to say to the lads, if you've got a knock, especially if you've got a big enough squad, and now you need a squad to get through the season, which Hughes have been going on about, which now we haven't got any forwards technically. You've got to show, then you wouldn't show that you were injured, you'd play. You know, play with a broken leg basically, strap it up and everything, because you wanted to play. And I know the lads want to play, but you can see that they're carrying knocks. you know, your Jay, how he's played them last 3 games, because the first time he got the knock on the bottom of his foot, or just on his ankle, you could tell him it was killing him. But he done the old school. He just got on with it until it got to the point where you knew he can't go in it. You know, another challenge on that. Put him off work for weeks. But at least the lad's got a bit of heart, where we've got a few lads who won't play. You know, it's a twinge, no, fucking get on with it. It's a game of footy. You know, it's a short career. I was lucky I played a bit longer, but it is short. And there's a lot of lads who've stopped playing who, in my opinion, they stopped playing at a young age, where they still had years on them, but they just packed in. You know, having a big squad is the ideal, and then you've got to be honest with John and say, no, I've got a knock, or when they're playing. Because if you do carry on playing and you're not playing 100%, you don't get a full performance out of everyone. Or you went on something before. I don't think as a team, this might be the wrong time to say it, but I think for the last few games I've watched, we just haven't played as a team. I wasn't there to watch the South Liverpool, and then I listened to John's team talk the week after, and I think they just thought they'd done it.
Well, you've brought me nicely onto the South Liverpool game, Midge. Yoz, you were there for the 5-0, so what were your thoughts about how we played then? I mean, it must be nice to beat a local rival anyway.
Yeah, I don't care who they are. It's always nice to win, especially if you win by a few goals. That's even better. You know, there was some nice things come off in the second half for us. I think first half, from memory, I think we stuttered and they had a couple of half chances and stuff like that. And then we got the breakthrough, and I think they just folded, to be honest, and we grew from that. You know, and it was capped off really, really well by a great goal for little Tom, crossed by Kieran from the left, which unfortunately the cameraman missed.
Well, I was going to say thanks for describing that, Yoz, because I missed that one.
To be fair, you've missed a few this season, to be fair, Pollard, if I'm totally honest.
If I'm honest, I think, you know, the goals, I'm not going to say they flattered us, because I think in a lot of games, if we'd have got a goal early doors, I think we'd have grown in confidence from that. But I think we've stuttered at times in our rhythm. A little bit of quality around the edge of the box and stuff like that. Maybe I think the thing for us is mentality. It's been mentioned before, but you know, I'll use the cup game the other week against Remacher as an example for me. I thought the first 20 minutes, I thought we were great. The movement was really good, the quality was really good, and then all of a sudden that dropped, and it's kind of like you can see lads going in the head, oh, that hasn't worked now, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, you know, and then they try and force it and push it, and that I think is what disappointed me most, to be honest, because first 20 minutes it was absolutely brilliant, so there was no need to change that pattern. We had a couple of chances. I thought a goal would have come.
Was Matty Hint's goal, Connor, the goal of the season so far? Are you gonna hopefully get another one to beat that?
I think he's in pole position, and you got to give credit where it's due. If you're hitting the ball on the way in, you know, it's always something to be proud of, isn't it? That
it was top bin.
Did you get that one on camera?
I did get that one. Yeah. That one I was concentrating.
Okay, just the one then. Yeah.
I did message Tom privately to apologise for the fact that I've missed it, but you know, what can you do? Right, the next game was a 3-1 home defeat to Litherland, which Pez got you on the goal conveyor belt.
Yeah, started well, didn't we? Probably a bit of a pattern in that. After 20 minutes, I couldn't see us not winning the game, and then we just go to pieces. I don't think they listen to this anyway, but even if they do, they got an absolute bellend that plays up front for them, and he just goes around skittling defenders, and everybody knows he does it, and we managed to let him rattle our entire back five, just by the conduct that we all knew was coming, and then we fold, which is really disappointing, because the real goal of the season contender that I scored in that game ends up meaningless. Chris,
I mean, I don't know whether this was. We played them a few weeks later in the cup, and there was quite a difference to the lineup, and so it's feasible that they could have been playing some first team players. Now, I know nobody. Well, a lot of our lads will very much be. Well, we don't care who we play. We'll just rise to the occasion, irrespective. But where do you stand on the use of first team players? Because just to give you an example, when this league restarted after lockdown, they introduced a rule where you weren't allowed to sign any more players on. And the reason why they introduced that rule was to stop teams from signing lads from higher divisions so that it would warp the competition. So, for example, West Kirby sign a load of Vauxhall Motors lads and suddenly become the world's most amazing team. And all of a sudden, all the games that have gone before that suddenly become a warped perception. So, Chris, going back to my original question, where do you stand on using first team? Should you just stick, if you're playing the reserves, should it be the reserve team squad? You stick with that squad there, that's who should play.
A bit of hard on it, because if we had still as our reserves that we had a few years ago, we'd be dipping into them now, wouldn't we, for a team? You know what I mean?
But is it different dipping into the reserves to bring them into the first team, as opposed to sending lads for the first team to the reserves because they haven't got a game?
Yeah, possibly. If we don't know for sure that happened, but we probably think it probably did happen, but we don't know for sure. But yeah, I think it is a little bit underwhelming, isn't it? It's a little bit like getting a bit of an advantage in a way. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was our own fault why we lost, though, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
And again, I mean, how do you feel about this, Yoz? And I'm not using the Litherland game as an example because it's not just them. There are lots of teams that we play in this division who are reserves and have teams from another league or from another division that they use. Does it create a problem? Does it create an unfair advantage, or do we just get on with it because it is what it is?
I think firstly, I think the league made the right decision to not let to stop any more signings on from the start point. I think that was the right decision, but inadvertently, and I don't think they had an option to do that. Inadvertently, it did hurt teams that have only got one team. If you've got more than two, you've already got double the squad, haven't you? And our squad's not the biggest as it is. But the bottom line, I suppose, is that it's in the rules. It's in the rules that's what you can do. So all you can do is play to those rules. Inside, I think, don't really agree with it. Unless, obviously, that reserve team is struggling for players. Because I think if you're bringing first teamers down to play a game, especially at the end of the season, there's nothing on it, is there? You know what I mean? It's not win or die, are they? And it's out of order on the reserve teams who've been there. But if they're struggling, they're struggling. My own personal view was always I wanted to play against the best that was out there to see how I was. Well, yeah, it's within the rules, so there's not really you can do. We just play by the rules, don't we?
Indeed. We've got Polton Royal as the next game. We won that 3-0. It was in the cup. Does anyone have anything they particularly want to say in that? It almost feels like it's a bit of an irrelevant fixture because we went out, but it seems a shame to ignore a 3-0 win, and I'm sure Chris wants to butt in because he scored a goal in that.
Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, you lose track.
Yeah, that was like this sunny pitch, wasn't it? Like this, it was rock hard, the pitch, and that, wasn't it? That's what that was, yeah. Yeah, it was a good win. It was a very good. Obviously, as you said, they went out in the next round, which wasn't good, but it was a very good win at the time. And I think who else scored in that game? Did Tom get one as well? Well, Dude got one. I got one. Who got you there?
Toddy.
Toddy got a worldie, didn't he?
Toddy, yeah, he scored a good goal.
So, Nat, you said Toddy's scored a worldie. Is Toddy or Matty Hintz the best goal?
Or
Perry.
mine.
Or Pez's.
To be honest, I was a spectator for both, so they both look good, but I don't know if Toddy's bobbled a little bit, like, and then he's hit it sweet, you know what I mean? But they're both screamers, like, so.
Yours,
Barron's the one, isn't
it? Okay, so I the goal of the season thing, I'm not going to get involved in that till there's only us talking about it, and then obviously I'm going to give it to Pez, aren't I? So I wanted to go back to the Bolton game, and for any, last week I watched a lot of the highlights back, not just from that game, from the season, and I mentioned before with the Remacher game about us starting well and playing okay, and there's a bit of a pattern in that this season, especially since we started in March. I think we've been starting games well, and we did start that cup game really well against Bolton Royal, and then second half was a bit of a non-entity, wasn't it? Really, I know it was really windy and stuff, but I think I'd encourage lads, even if. I mean, there's some lads in the squad who just won't even listen to this, will they? He won't even watch a highlight. He won't, that's just the way it is. But for as many of them as possible, I would say watch it. I'm definitely going to talk to a few lads personally who I want them to watch that cup game again. Definitely for the first 20 minutes or so. So I can use it to explain a few pointers. But yeah, this season I feel like we've had the opposite problem to last season. I think we've been starting well and then falling away.
Imagine, Midge, how useful it will be for the highlights if we had one of those really expensive cameras that me and Pez were arguing about earlier on in the season. Isn't that right, Pez? I mean, you'd use it loads, wouldn't you, to analyse all your goals and your assists?
Yeah, I definitely would. I've seen a few people who've got that, though. There's a few clubs on a Sunday that have started using it now.
Is that the Camfield, Pez? Is that what they were using today?
No, Camfield are on YouTube, I think. That they're being done by St George's Park. I know Mackenzie's use it and a few others. Camfield won the National Cup today, by the way, lads. Well done to them.
Congratulations, lads. So, Midge, are you going to sponsor this? Is this the camera that's coming to town for next season?
Well, we'd have to have a committee meeting over this and see what's coming along.
Is that one of them cameras that follows the ball so it won't miss everything? Yeah. One of them. Fucking hell.
How much are they? $2,500 or something?
Midge, the consummate politician, answering the question without answering the question.
If the committee's up for it, I'm up for it. Whatever's best for the club.
Midge, why don't you tell from Pollard, just have a little route behind your fridge or down the back of your couch? You can get two of them, can't you?
Possibly. Guess who wants to sponsor it? If we can get our sponsorships going. Obviously, I was listening to what you're saying about the team. I think what's happened this season, as John said, we're starting off great and then you stop believing in themselves. Obviously, the South Liverpool game was a cracker, what I listened to and what I heard in the highlights. Then we failed the week after. Then the cup game, we were fantastic again. And then we just underachieved in the others. And it was there for you, especially the Remacher game, getting beat 1-0. How you couldn't raise the game for that. I watched it and I watched the highlights again. I thought, we didn't win that game. And a little bit like what Liverpool's done today. They just carry on the battle and it's not getting anywhere. And then just that little stroke of luck. But I don't think we believe in that stroke of luck.
Are you blaming Jamie Stewart, Midge, for us not winning against Litherland because he didn't score a last-minute header?
Yeah, I blame him. I'm blaming everyone else for not fucking. Sometimes you've got to step up to the plate. And
goal was a bit dodgy that got the salad though, isn't it?
I was just going to say then, we had two goals disallowed on for it.
How that didn't get, the one that he said it was in his hands. Unbelievable.
He didn't even have hold of it.
That's what I said, send it to fucking Gary. And you know my number, Gary, if you listen to this. Unbelievable. And I'm watching the same game, but we're further away than he was. You know what I mean? It's just...
Well, we'll come to Litherland in a second. Firstly, I want to go to the West Kirby game. Now, we weren't allowed to film at West Kirby, so to be perfectly honest, we could describe how we played in this game however we really want, because there's no video evidence to the contrary.
I thought we were fantastic, but in 2 games we made 2 mistakes each week. I think
Peter.
one was is that the game where Jamie gave the silly free kick, but the lad just dived. It wasn't a foul. I know Jamie was saying it's not a foul. I said, well, it is technically because he's give it. But no, I understand that he dived. And then, that's it. I'm sorry if he wants to give him my number if he rings up for the podcast. He did, but we played it.
Midge has had 2 jabs and now he thinks he's invincible.
Hey,
I don't care.
He'll have 2 more jabs if he carries on offering people.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I've seen you dig a fucking little one. That was the worst dig I've ever seen in my life. So don't offer.
He was the biggest fella though. I had to go. I still tried to jump up and get him.
Yours, I mean, that what Midge said about the West Kirby performance. I mean, West Kirby have been, I think, undefeated in about the last 10 or 11 games. And watching that game, I was utterly baffled as to how that was, because we dominated that almost from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that's probably our best performance this season, even though we didn't get anything out of the game. Again, you can make one mistake, you can make 2 mistakes, and unfortunately get punished for them. But ultimately, if you look back at the highlights of that game as well, we had lots of really good chances to score goals. And I just, a little bit of belief, a little bit of luck, you get them. But yeah, I thought that was a really good performance, especially when you think that we were up against West Kirby. Have got a reserve team as well, having their first team reserve. Yeah. And then they obviously also pulled players from Boxers. So I think we did really well playing against 2 clubs and 4 teams, probably.
Well, normally you'd insert the words allegedly there, but as it turns out, they were found guilty of that and had the points deducted, which now means that they sit 4th in the league. It does bring an interesting thing, as we were talking about this before, about whether you should play first-team players in the team, but where do we stand on ringers, Pez? Because there's I suppose there's a nuance in playing ringers because you've got 8 players and you're not going to be able to feed a team, and playing 4 semi-professional lads because you're pushing for promotion.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a difficult one, I suppose, because there's different circumstances, and then I think just bringing in heavy hitters because you've got a difficult game and bombing your own lads out. I think that there's a little something scummy about that. But then in the same token, getting lads games of footy when you've shorter players, I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. It's hard to define one or the other. And I mean, we've had a lad who went to the league with an appeal to try and sign for us because he'd moved up from London. And in his own words, he's not a game changer. He's not like, we've plucked him from a big high standard football. He's just a lad looking for a game of football. But he didn't win his appeal for that. But no, ringers is. I've been a ringer and I've played against ringers. It goes on, doesn't it? It's just one of those things.
I mean, we're quite fortunate, aren't we? We've always had a large squad, and touch wood, even when we get crippled by injuries, we're still usually able to field at least 3 or 4 subs. So, Connor, how would you feel if you got bombed out? I mean, I know it's not likely because you're such an amazing football player, but how would you feel if you got bombed out because a ringer came along?
There was when I used to play for a team that I had called Kids Go, and the first team were in the Unibond or something. Sometimes you turn up on a Saturday and you'd walk in the change rooms, and the first thing you'd see is like the first team in your position, and because you were centre mid, there was normally 6 in the squad, and then you just straight away you just ruin your day because you think, well, I'm not getting a game now just because he's been sent down to get a full game. But then on the flip side, like Pez says, sometimes then you will be the ringer. So it's just in them clubs. It's a lot of the times it's actually taken out of the reserve team manager's hands as well. It's said you need to play that player. So I mean, who do you blame really? It's a bit of a nonsense, but it happens all the time. And I don't mind it when you're up against it because it's more of a challenge. Like I've got no problem with that really, but it is frustrating. It's for the lads that play week in, week out you feel sorry for in those teams. That's the ones who are the big losers out of it, I think.
And Natty, this was an interesting game. It raises quite an interesting point about the fact that West Kirby wouldn't give us permission to film the game, and the reason they gave was because they'd been caught playing ringers, or rather being reported for playing ringers at that time. They were disputing it, and obviously have now been found guilty. So they didn't want us to film the game. I did receive one of the weirdest anonymous phone calls from someone saying that they were playing a ringer in that game. But that's by the by. I'm interested, and this question goes out to the other lads, but I'll start with Nat about the concept of clubs denying permission for filming the games. Now, there is, of course, data protection rules where, you can't just film people without their permission, but if you're playing footy, one would say that there'd have to be some really odd circumstances for you to have a real issue about someone filming the game, as it were. We're not talking about kids here, and we're not talking, I don't know, I'm assuming there's no one who's on the run from the police and doesn't want to wind up on Crime Watch UK following the Cheshire highlights. So a club denying permission, and the reason why I raise it is because a club like ours generates quite a lot of revenue, sponsorship revenue from our highlights feed because of the audiences that we generate. And I suppose my argument would be to have such a lame excuse almost robs many people of the opportunity to A, watch it, and B, for us to give the audiences what they usually receive. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Me, to be honest with you, I just think it's a load of my arse what they've done. They've done it. How many? Is that the second season in a row now they've refused it?
No, I think it was just the first. I don't think we asked them last time.
Didn't we? See, I think it's a bit of a sad excuse, really, because we're all adults, aren't we? We all enjoy watching it, and on most weeks we play someone every team saying, put it on your highlights, which is, people do watch it, you know what I mean? So yeah,
Matt, you said that. I was taking a penalty the other week against Raynhill, and obviously I had to wait ages to take it because I think dude was down injured, and the goalie kept coming up to me going, I'll watch the highlights, I know where you put these. Well, I can take them normally, you weirdo, so.
I just think it's a bit sad, really, mate, because we do it weekly, and like I say, social media at the minute's booming for anyone, like, especially sponsorships, and amateur football's booming on social media, so it's a bit last, really.
And what about you, Chris? How would you feel if we missed an amazing one of your goals? Because, I mean, I know that, let's assume I would have otherwise caught it and not deleted it by accident. How would you feel because of an excuse like that?
Well, or like the time when you got a little bit too wet, so you put your camera away and missed the 3-2 win, the winner. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah. As Natty and Perry said, it's a bit of a joke of them not letting them film. Like, it's stupid, isn't it? They've just done it because they're playing ringers, aren't
it's desperation, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's desperate, that.
Just out of interest,
what would have happened if you would have just filmed it, though? What would they have done? Would they have tried to physically stop you?
Well, we wouldn't have been able to post it on social media, but I think the other excuse they gave, yours, was that that one from Hollywood, I can't remember. Revel Allwood. He's the dancing fella, isn't he? No, I can't remember what her name was. That's how little we. That's it. Rebel Wilson might be walking past.
Out of interest, has there ever been another instance of a team refusing?
No. Occasionally we get a team who've got a lad under 18, and so they say, well, we'll just have to ask the lads. But because we're open age football, most lads are between 16 and 18, so they're old enough to make a decision. It's not like we're 12-year-olds and what have you.
What I was going to say was, interestingly enough, Gerard that goes around doing the photography was at West Kirby's ground and posted pictures last night on Twitter, and I just wondered if West Kirby have allowed that now because they've been found guilty and weren't playing any ringers.
I suspect he probably didn't ask, because he doesn't normally ask when he turns up to grounds. He takes.
I know, but
taking pictures of kids and that.
The same team said there was no supporters. You couldn't have a supporter there, and they had loads there that they weren't part of the club. They were just supporters. So it's just sour grapes. But I think if you said to the West Cheshire, can you put a little poll out? Every team, are we happy with us filming them, because to be fair, whether we lose or draw or win, you put it out and you put the fair highlights out, and all right, 9 out of 10, you get all the goals as well. So it becomes, if they win, their benefit. But we're still posting them. There's the fairness in it. It's not just, it's just Cheshire Lines. You're posting something that's interesting to a lot of people. And, why? Obviously, because of allegedly, and now they found guilty, playing ringers, which is naughty. Gabs.
Well, our sponsors, Squadron Media, did offer to do some drone shots of their ground, so they could use it to promote. And
shitty ground, anyway.
Well, it was respectfully declined because they have Google Maps.
The Chesh are delighted to be sponsored by award-winning solicitors Johnson & Boone, offering a wide range of legal services from alcohol licensing, wills, commercial, employment, family, divorce, and landlord and tenant matters. For more information, visit johnsonandboone.co.uk or ring them on 0151 637 2034.
Moving on to more interesting games. Rainhill Town 2-2 draw. Yoz, I imagine you needed a long lie down after this game, because I think we had, in addition to a shed load of lads missing for injury, during the course of the game, we had 3 muscle strains, which saw a pre-match sub and 2 during match, and 2 fractures as well. I have to say, I've never been more happy to be standing in the TV gantry and not in your shoes, trying to deal and juggle all those changes.
It was frustrating. Obviously not as frustrating as it was for the lads who got injuries. But yeah, sometimes you get that. It's part and parcel of the game, isn't it? And, we dealt with it the best way we could, and we got something out of the game which we more than deserved, I think.
Now, you say we deserve. There was an allegation that Sam's fall for the penalty wasn't necessarily a kosher foul. Now, I honest, hand on heart, and I swear, I didn't catch this because it was just a couple of seconds after Dude had been kicked in the ribs, and I've never heard Dude let out a squeal like that. So I was actually making my way down off the thing when Sam went down like a ton of bricks. I'm assuming, Connor, that you're fully in the camp that it was an absolute stonewall penalty.
I was about 5 meters probably behind it, and you just got to give credit to Sam there. He went down in style, you know what I mean?
Stonewall from where I spent all day.
I actually meant in terms of how we performed. We deserved something out of the game. In terms of that one decision that gave us a penalty and Pez took it away. Well, do you know what? That happened to us a week later in the cup game against Remica, where we had 2 goals disallowed. That's part and parcel of the game. And at our level, I just think sometimes people, we're not winning thousands or millions of pounds, are we? So let people film it. We haven't got players like Messi and Ronaldo and stuff like that. We've got some bloody good ones, but not that good. They're not changing the destination of trophies and stuff, and people take it too serious at times. And I thought Rainhill were a little bit like that, especially the little ginger, Smurfy one at the back. Messing up the penalty spot before someone's taking a pen. What's he doing?
Is that what he did? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was kicking a big hole in the pen spot.
What's he doing? All right, I've done it before, trying to put someone off. A little bit of gamesmanship and stuff like that. But does he think that, his lifetime's ambition of winning the Champions League is just being taken away from him in the last minute there? Or is he a little red-headed shit footballer who got a bit fed up? Who knows?
Midge, you said before that you got a really good view of that foul Stonewall penalty. That was because you were actually on the green grass of the Chesh, and in the absence of the league correcting us otherwise, we're going to claim that that's a record for the oldest player to play in the West Cheshire League at the grand old age of what?
56.
And you
make his head any bigger.
Dirty work credits due though, Matthew, lads.
It is, lads.
Yeah, you're phone's a bit, you're only 30.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you were falling
man.
show on that game.
About mates playing there from the West Cheshire League, and I firmly believe if that would have been a 56-year-old player from most other teams, especially over the water, they'd have retweeted that to death. Retweeted it to death. For some reason, they've got this down on about us. I don't know what it is. To be honest with you, I don't really care, because I think that just shows how shallow they are, or can be rather. But for some, that should be celebrated. It doesn't matter what team. If a lad's gone out there at the age Midge did that day, that needs celebrating big time.
Yeah.
No, it really does.
That game against them as well, was it 2-2, wasn't it? And like, what didn't we have Tom? We had Tom Kremlin. It was Ross, and yourself on the bench. Honest, there was only 3 of them on the bench, and what we had.
Ross played.
Oh, we got an injury straight away, didn't we? Deco got injured before the warm up.
Sammy
was so we're down to 2. John only had 2 subs.
Yeah, and then because Sammy and then Tom come on, and then he got injured, didn't he? After about.
Sam wasn't there. It was Andy Dicko, wasn't it?
It was Andy Dicko who got injured before the game.
Andy Dicko got injured.
I mean, Sam Alpin didn't Sam replace Andy in the warm up.
Yeah, Sam Alpin did. Yeah,
that's Sam Alpin. I mean, yeah. And then obviously Tom come on, and he was goosed after he got done in a challenge, and he was the last 20 minutes he was just like hobbling around the pitch with nothing wrong with, like, obviously he's still well to stay on the pitch. He had all the subs, and then
Danny Mull, he got the
Danny Mull and Jude obviously. So to come away with 2-2 there, even though obviously on the highlights we should have scored a few as well before end of the first half, to come away 2-2 with a patched up team and a 91-year-old, whoever he is, on centre mid, like it's a good result, isn't it? You know what I mean? And even though we should have won, like we could have, So
it's the chances. And going back to West Kirby, you didn't have your video, but there was a challenge there. That penalty where they just had 2 silly free kicks. Now, if that had been outside the box, that referee would have given that. It was in the box, and it might have been a bit too big for her at the time. Yeah, and maybe she panicked a little bit. And she didn't give it, but it was a Stonewall penalty.
Yeah, it was.
Hopefully, she'll learn by her mistakes.
Natty, obviously we don't want to build his head up. I mean, you must have been brimming with pride when your old man was still able, and he does look good for 56, came onto the pitch. How much of that pride was remaining when in under 5 minutes he'd managed to pick up a booking for a shocking foul at the edge of the box?
I forget, not shocking.
Neck height it was.
No, it wasn't.
It was like slow. Do you remember, like
there was no malice at all in that.
Do you remember like Mario Wales when you used to run in the sand?
I think I received an envelope with late notice on it by the time he'd gone in for that tackle. The ball had so far gone.
It was there to be won. And I think I got my foot on it.
Chrissy, I was also particularly interested in this game because you decided to take your own life into your hands, I think, right at the beginning, because the first goal, Dude had obviously fired it in, who is would have been your closest rival, because had he scored that, it'd have been level on goals for you. What was it that you said to him after it transpired that it was an own goal? Were you telling him it was an own goal? Were you congratulating him on the amount of hard work he'd done to get to that position?
He's a top lad, dude, and he went down the right. I think he'd done a little 1-2 me. I think it was. He went down the right, and he's a top lad. He's not the sharpest tool in the boxes, let's be honest about it. So you have to just tell him straight that.
That's what I'm saying there now, because you're in your house.
It happened to be in Kirby.
That door's locked behind you, Chris. Yeah.
He won't listen to this unless you cut it and send it to him. That's the only way he's going to do it. I had to tell him straight that was an argument, and that's why at half time I come to you as well in the gantry and told you. Well, I asked you and said, "Was that an argument?" You said, "Yeah." so that was okay.
Yeah, so you were double checking what you told him was true.
Yeah. Just double check. To be fair, if dude would have said to me, "That's my goal," then how am I going to take that off him? Like, no, I mean, he just squashed me only. So what am I supposed to do about that?
And the last game is obviously the disappointing 1-0 defeat in the semis. Yours, you've sort of touched on this before. I mean, I know it's a massive disappointment to lose a game like this, and the amount of frustration I felt on the day because it just didn't feel like the ball was gonna go our way. But when you do watch back those highlights, A, it wasn't for the want of trying, and B, it wasn't for the lack of chances either.
No, it wasn't. We did have some decent chances. We did have some decent half chances. Scored at least one out of the two that was disallowed. That shouldn't have been disallowed. But I'm also looking about. I firmly believe if we'd have had the conviction and belief in ourselves to continue to play like we started in that first 20 minutes, I think we'd have been comfortably a couple of goals up, and we wouldn't have had to rely on a referee to make a decision either for or against us. And I think that's part of our downfall at times is not having that belief to just, it's working, let's do it again, let's tire them out, because you keep playing. If you've got, yourself, if you're chasing the ball for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, you're done, you're gone. It's harder than having the ball, isn't it? And then that's where you kill people, that's where you kill teams. But you can physically see some of our lads going, that's it now, we've passed it 3 or 4 times. It's got to go long now. It's got to go into the box. It's like rugby league, where you'd only get 6 tackles, and on the 6th one, it's got to go into touch. That's what some of our lads do, and they should have more belief in themselves, really,
Absolutely, well said. There is a statistic off the back of this game. We have one player who has been an ever-present in all of the games so far this season. Anyone care to have a guess?
Cruikshanks.
It is. What's the starting bid for him to try and complete the last 2 games and do the full house?
What kind of a question is that to say to him?
Yours has got holidays to pay for, mate.
I haven't finished. You don't have to answer that question if you don't want it, when you're looking very handsome tonight, by the way, mate. Okay.
He hasn't scored in a while, Chris. I think he should be dropped, really. I think his form's
I'm going to drop you in a minute. No, the last time I scored was the cup game, wasn't it? The cup game before last. But no, what Yoz was saying before, just going back to his point there, he's right in what he's saying there. Like, obviously, it must be so frustrating watching from the sidelines where he's picking a team and Midge and yourself, and then you can see it even on the lines of the fit. We come out all the time, and like we play that 3-5-2 that system, and you can see all the highlights is like myself or Natty getting on the ball and playing, and it's getting whipped from the sidelines, it's getting whipped from the wings, and then all of a sudden we just go long. After like 20 minutes, we just go, what's going on? Why? If something's not broke, don't fix it. Like, if we're working down the wings, that's what he wants to play. Like, that's how he wants to play. Then we just stop, and it's like it goes long, and you're like, what's going on? So frustrating.
It happened in the Rainhill game. Our first goal come from me and Dylan overplaying it, and the winger stopped. And then we bring the ball to you, and we went through and scored. But
yeah, it's like, I don't
just be impatient sometimes.
That's exactly what it is. If it's not on the wing straight away, go back and start again. I'm not criticising that, by the way, the back three. I'm not at all, because especially like they played really well. Obviously,
sounds like you're criticising them, Chris.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, maybe we've got a ball playing keeper there, and Jamie, it doesn't have to go back, start again, wait. It doesn't have to go long all the time. It's like you just want to go forward. It's so frustrating, like, to watch.
It's frustrating because in training and now, not this season, for the last couple of seasons, and we've always tried to play football. In training, you do it. Whoever's on that training pitch, it's all 2-touch football, 1-touch football. But you've just said it yourself in that goal where you and Dylan were playing it, being patient, and then we created from it. John said it at half time. about BP. You don't have to go out and score in the first 5 minutes. You've got 45 minutes now. And at times when we played it round, they were giving up because they don't like it. You've got to understand how much pleasure you'll get from winding and killing a game of someone, but you're playing it round. And when you do that, then you'll build on it as well, and you get the confidence to do it. But as you say, 3-4 touches, and then I've done my bit, unload, especially if they're starting to come onto you. Now, when I said myself, when you got 10 players, we always, whenever we went down to 10 players, we played better. I'm not saying better, you're always happy to have the 11, but you play, you believe in yourself, and you graft for everyone, you put a double shift in. And we just thought, the 10 men, and we'll be all right. We've got the, and they looked, me and John was speaking, I said, they look like they got the extra man than we do, because we were that, heads were down.
Yeah.
And we started so well. And that was there for the winner. Definitely.
Now, the semi-finals were actually played yesterday. Does anyone want to know the scores?
Yeah, I know.
So, Heswell lost at home 2-1 to Mossley Hill, which was a bit of a surprise. And Litherland drew 3-3 with South Liverpool and then won 3-1 on penalties. So that means it's a final of Litherland v Mossley Hill. I mean, we must be kicking ourselves with that.
Liverpool with 3 goals up as well.
Who were?
South Liverpool were 3-0 up.
Yeah, seen that on Twitter.
But they are home or away?
Litherland were at home.
On the little pitch?
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume so.
So, Yoz, how do we feel things have been since lockdown? I mean, obviously the rust will be there, and it's tough for everyone. But we've won 2, we've drawn 2, we've lost 3. So on the face of it, that sounds not ideal. But we've scored 11 and we've only conceded 7. So which suggests that we've won big and we've lost by a very fine margin, which perhaps is something easily rectified.
No, I'd say the opposite, to be honest, because I think we've played okay as a unit. I think the change in shape has suited us a little bit more. But it's where do you get a goal scorer from? How do you don't create or train any player to be a goal scorer. It's just a natural thing, isn't it? And for years and years and years, we've relied probably too heavily on Dude, and he's probably missed more than he's scored, in all honesty. But he just never stops, and he's just at that point now where he's no good, and that's the difficulty. It's how do you change that? You can't. I don't think I can. There's lads who are going for top goal scorer there. 3 of them are on here, aren't they? So that tells you that the team is chipping in with goals. But when in the tight games, that's where you need the sharpness in the box, isn't it? The
composure.
Yeah. That's where you need that. And if either of those 3 lads had that, they'd be playing up further up the pitch, wouldn't they? Their creativity would be in the box. Their creativity is for 90 minutes in a game, 80 minutes, 85, 94, whatever you want to say. Yeah, that's where their creativity comes in it. Sometimes you just need a player to just come alive once or twice in a game and score 2 goals.
You know what, Yoz? We've got 2 games left this season. We can finish 6, can't we, if we win both of them, depending on results. Just put me, Connor and Pez up front. Last 2 games. Play a full 3. We won't pass to each other like Mane does to Salah. We'll just go for it. Why not?
That assumes that you're playing.
Never assume anything in life, mate.
He's asked a couple of Vauxhall lads to come down.
FC Bootle were confirmed as the champions this week. They finished with a 100% record of played 15, won 15. I mean, we must, going back the first game in the season, we were winning 2-1 with about 10 minutes to go. And I honestly believe we were the better team right up to that point. I mean, it does show how tight it is in the league, Connor, when when I mean, they've gone on to be, and I'm not taking anything away from them because that's a clinical run for the season to play 15 and 115, but blimey, it could have been so different off the starting blocks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, fair play to them. That's amazing, isn't it, winning all your games? But Chris just said then we can finish sixth. On that day, I thought, like I say, we were a better team. We give them one goal, and then I can't remember the one they won with, but that was a tight game. But look where we finished in the league at the end of the season. We're miles apart from people, but on paper, we're not actually that much difference as players and as a team. I don't think. So yeah, it makes it even more frustrating that we haven't got something, or at least a final or something. We definitely could have.
Disappointing season, isn't
it? Nice to play them again, I think, in a pre-season. But I think they're a good side to the challenge against.
Well, it was a bit frustrating. It was a bit disappointing we weren't able to play a lot of these teams for a second time anyway. Twice, I think we lost 1-0 to Heswell, and we were definitely the better team there as well. Polton Victoria, who finished second and have taken the other promotion spot, we lost 2-0 at home to those, and that was very much an off day for us, I feel. And it'd been interesting to see how we fared against them in a return game.
I think, like you said, I think now, obviously they're going up, and good luck to them. They deserved it. That's where you finish. But I've seen a couple of teams go up in the last season or two, and they get found out. Then they're not as good as So either our league, not dishing our league, but I'm saying the standard obviously is quite high in the first division. And let's see how they go. I think they've struggled to get an unbeaten season in the first division. But on that day, and I spoke to a lad afterwards, and he said to me, "You're unbelievable." He said, "What a team you've got." He said, "You're so unlucky." And then I heard from them that they reckon we were the best side they played for the season. So you can take a little bit from that, but hard lines doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't feel great.
I feel like that's been us for the last couple of seasons. Everyone who plays us says we always give them a game, and then
I can't remember a game where we've been battered. We've lost 4, 5, 6, and I can't remember a game like
Heswell, was it last year or the year before? We lost 5-0, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the games where we played them at theirs as well. We played at Vauxhall. I think that was probably a couple of games where I did think we came off with, but that's the only team I feel we've come against. I mean, you mentioned Midge about the difference in class going up. Ellesmere Port finished bottom of Division 1, so they're going to get relegated into our division. But Aintree Villa take the second, and they obviously finished top of our league last year, but we didn't play them at all, and we did beat them in pre-season. So do we think that's perhaps an indicator that had the full season played out, they might not necessarily have taken that top spot, or are we just getting into the hypotheticals here?
Much of a muchness, isn't it?
It's hard at the end of the day, where you finish is where you finish. You can't change it. It's either sour grapes, or you have a look at yourselves and go, okay, for next season we've just got to change it.
Indeed, and sour grapes. West Kirby finished 4th, having had their 3 points taken off of them for the game against FC Bootle for playing eligible players, so they drop from the second place where they would have been promoted down into 4th, which means that they're going to have to play in our league again next season.
That's unlucky. Cheats don't prosper, that's what they say, innit? And we can look forward to playing them again next season.
So, who did they play? And did the other team get the points?
Yeah, they played FC Bootle.
Did they beat them?
I don't know the outcome. Did they?
Yeah, we beat them 1-0.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think it's all about now, and it just regrouping for next season. Finish strong. If it looks, I think, are we 11th at the moment?
No, we're 8th.
8th. So if we win our last 2 games, we finish 6th. It looks a bit more respectable.
Well, there's something to go for.
Yeah, and then
and
then over the summer, we obviously the last 2 years has been a crazy 2 years with everything and it, with life, with the COVID situation. Train hard over the summer, get fit, get some new lads in as well, fight for positions. Well, I remember last year, yours was doing some trials and there was a load of lads. I think one time we had 22 lads plus subs, didn't we? We had 2 games or something like that. You remember, announced that was good stuff like that. Just get people down as much as they can and just...
You'll find someone, and it's the setup. It's whether you want to buy into it. It's the old school. A lot of people, Kenny Williams said he was showing, like obviously he's at Wigan, and he was at a lower league team. They had a friendly or something, so he's showing them our setup. And he said the guy was amazed at, like the media coverage we've got, the app. He said, what? And, he said, how come this club's not bigger and better? He said, well, they're in the West Cheshire and it's all to do with finances and that. He said, she's got better setup than most semi-league clubs. He said, so realistically, you should be attracting.
It's all about the personnel, Midge. Like to myself and Connor and even Natty throw you in the bracket because you're getting on a bit as well, mate. Like we're the last.
Oh, whoa! Hang on a minute. You've got to include Midge in that as well, because I mean, Midge is technically still a player, isn't he?
No, what I'm saying is we're the last generation. What Midge was saying before, we just want to play footy. You get up and you look forward to.
Yeah.
The lads now just want to go and fucking snort fucking shit up their noses and get pissed and turn up to footy.
I think perfect. We've got a good gang of lads with yourselves as the backbone, and then the lads coming in and the Danny Moles, Jack Newtons, Young, Kieran. You've got a good gang of lads, and it's just you just need a couple of more, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Where I say centre forwards possibly, or goal scoring midfielders, or a big centre half who wins headers. Angus used to be the leading goal scorer at Nedley Legion with his headers because he's going up. But we need 2 or 3. It's not far away from having a boss side. And to be fair, we have got a good side. It's just that we're not playing as a team. That's how I feel. I don't know what the problem is, but we're not playing. And you do for 20 minutes. John's got on it 3 times. And the lads who stand on the line who are subs, hopefully you're listening, you've watched them. But when you go on, you don't do what we just said. Yeah, look where we're going wrong. And then you get lads who come off and then watch it. I think, Chris, you come off the other day and you said to me, you said to me, and until like John Dicko was, and he said, "Fucking hell, are we doing that?" I said, "But you were doing it on the pitch." I don't know what it was, whether it was bad marking or we weren't picking up. He said, "Oh, it's dead frustrating." I said, "Well, how do you think we are for 90 minutes?" I said, "When we know you can do it," and that's the awkward thing. We actually know you're good players.
Has Leon finished, Joz? Is he done?
He is for the season. I was speaking to him the other week. He's done for the season. He's going to get himself fit for the start of the next season, I think.
Keeps having little twinges on.
I would for him. I hope not. But well, also but for the type of player that Leon is and has been, it's all about those fast twitch fibres and stuff, isn't it? It's pace and whatever. And I think he's got the ability, definitely, to play at our level. It's just how those fibres have been going to hold up at this stage in his life, I suppose.
How old is Leon?
Younger than you, Midge.
Everyone's fucking younger than me. But
I think he's about 31, 32, is he?
Or 35, I thought.
I thought he was on 35, yeah.
Can you imagine Dude and Leon prime for us now?
It'd be like Ian Rush and Mark Hateley for Leeds back in the George Graham days.
But to be fair, at our level, and if you've been that good, he's just got to change his game slightly, not be the dynamic fast forward. And he's clever enough. He's got a brain to change his game slightly.
Well, that's like Ronaldo, though, isn't it? Ronaldo was the pacey winger, and he's now reinvented himself as a number 9. So he lets everyone else do the running for him, and he just picks them off in the box.
I think I'll start doing that next season.
I
think it's all about mentality, without
totally, and
having the belief and patience in a game. I think we've actually come on a lot over the last so many seasons, even the lads who've been there for a longer period. And it's just now about getting that good start, keeping that good start in games, but keeping that going then. keep seeing that through till half time. Have you blow them, we have a get together, have a little talk about what's good, what's not, and then starting again. It's being able to sustain all the good things that you're doing and not let it fall off just because the first time you went forward, we haven't scored a goal.
Yeah.
Be patient with it.
Whether you are looking for the perfect home or have found the one you want, Myriad Mortgages can help you secure the mortgage you need to get your dream property. With access to the whole of the market, Myriad's team of experts will find the product that best suits your circumstances, taking the stress out of the buying process and allowing you to simply focus on being excited. For more information, visit myriadmortgages.co.uk or speak to the team on 0151 489 0293. Myriad Mortgages, with you every step of the way.
Moving on to the news section, so a couple of things. Firstly, from Monday, we're recording this on Sunday the 16th, supporters can come and watch, which for grassroots football largely means that everyone who's been turning up can now legitimately turn up to watch the game, which is great, because it's great for certainly the clubs. I'm sure Graham at the Chess should be made up that there'll be more people turning up who might want a swift beer after the game. Also in news, he'll be gutted because he's dropped off the call. You'll have noticed he's gone awful quiet. It's because he's dropped off. Pez isn't here to help make sure that we fully sing his praises for the fact that he quite rightly won Player of the Month for April. Anyone want to say something nice about Pez while he's here?
Well done, Pez.
Yeah, he's played well, to be fair. I think that Connor and Pez, the two of them together, have played really well over the last 3 or 4 games, 5 games. So, credit where credit's due. Well done, Pez.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he has
played well, very well, to be fair. And I think I was chatting to him about I think it was the Rain Hill game when I think he came second in man of the match, and Nat and Dylan shared it. And the defence was amazing that game, don't get me wrong. But when you watch the highlights for their second goal, Dylan flicks it on and then Nat's man volleys it in. And they were the man of the match,
Yeah, I know that's
Yeah.
But this is why, I mean, what we do for the player of the at the end of every game, we invite people to vote for their man of the match, and we always record first, second, and third place.
Do you know what? I love you, Natty. I think you're boss, but I actually remember it vividly because I was trying to get back as much as I can for you, and I said, and you went, no, go away, I don't need you. And then 2 minutes later, they scored because you fucked up.
I think it sums up footy, doesn't it? Everyone, most people want to see either a thundering tackle, and the other thing they want to see is goals, isn't it? So quite often, Pez isn't going to make, he's made a few, but that's not his game, it's a thundering tackle. That's more his brother, I think. And goals, he's not a prolific goal scorer, even though he has scored. He scored a few good goals, most notably, obviously, at Capenhurst away, those 2 free kicks.
There was always someone who's going to crowbar it in.
But, no, I think sometimes, and Connor will fall foul of it as well. They have the ball a hell of a lot in that midfield area, which is tight and congested, and do some really, really good things. And then all of a sudden someone's done a last-ditch tackle at the end, and everyone's mind's on that, or scored a goal, to get us a point, or equaliser, or a really good goal, and everyone's mind's drawn to those exciting bits in the game. Whereas you can forget sometimes that, there's other lads in the team that have really produced that game. And I'm not, that's just football. That's the way it is, isn't it? But...
With the man of the match, we always record first, second, and third. And then at the end of the month, you get 3 points for coming first, 2 for second, and 1 for first. So it does recognise that air of consistency. And certainly with Pez, I think he did get 1 man of the match in April, but he came second pretty much in every other game. And that sheer level of consistency is why ultimately you quite rightly won it.
I think he could be manipulating it though.
Well, I mean, to be honest, he's not here, so I'm sort of in a 50-50 whether we leave this bit in because we're saying nice things about him.
No one else got a text off him saying, "Don't do Defenders Union."
I got a lot of votes from unknown numbers that particular week.
Do you know what I think has aided his game in particular is the change in shape and position, because he's not having to do the track and back and marking as such, is he? You know what I mean? When we've managed to play the two up there, I think we did it with Connor, didn't we? Away, Con, was that in the cup game?
That was
and a bit of Liverpool, was it?
Yeah, played like the box, didn't we?
You're getting more freedom to play, aren't you? And actually do the things you really want to do rather than the nasty side of the game or the horrible side of the game. So that's probably helped a little bit, like.
Yeah. We've got a commercial opportunity, guys, which I wanted to run by you. And indeed, listeners, if you want to DM us on social media to let us know what we should do, we've received an offer from Smooth My Balls, who would like us to promote their products on our podcast. I've just been having a look at a couple of the reviews. The first one, amazing. My missus loved how clean and tidy I was after using your product. Left my balls as smooth as eggs.
What is it, a shaver?
It is indeed. This fella had a very interesting. My balls have never been so fresh. Just have to have a morning dump and thought, why not do something productive whilst waking up? Came out my SMB trimmer, which Smooth My Balls trimmer, whipped it out like a Wild West cowboy.
Try it on Lefty's head first.
I think his head already looks like some smooth balls, doesn't it? So do we have anyone here who would perhaps like to be the guinea pig, and I'll happily message them back on your behalf.
I'll blow them right out the water now, here, Nathan. 100% that all day long.
I'll have a go with it.
I'll use that as well.
Nat's definitely the manscaper in the team.
People men shave the balls, Natty, and that right, lads.
Like me, yeah.
He likes a bit of bush.
Old school.
We're introducing a new feature. We're going to call it Heroes and Villains, where we each episode we nominate someone who's done something good since our last episode, something positive in the grassroots game, made us feel good. It could be someone within the Chesh. It could be someone in the wider world. It might be a professional footballer who's donated a shed load of money to grassroots football. It might be the authorities because they punished Wes Kirby for cheating. It could be a whole host of things, and obviously a villain likewise is somebody who has either made our lives miserable, got up to some mischief, etc., etc. So I gave some of the guys a request that they come up with a nomination. So with the heroes category, Yoz, you had the heroes category. Is there anyone that pops into mind who you particularly feel justifies the nomination?
Yes. 100%, mate. As usual for me, I've got a couple. Well, I've got three actually. So, firstly, and this is unusual for me, I think it's the West Cheshire League because, in whatever format, I think it was really good of them to start the league back up again, where many other leagues didn't across the country. So, I think that was a good positive step, and you were never going to please all of the people worthy in terms of the format it started, but I think it was just good to give lads the platform to actually play games again. I think that was a real positive thing. And the other two things are within the club. Nathan is one, after not playing for a couple of years and coming back in to perform the way he did, I think was, it didn't surprise me, to be quite honest with you, because I've known the lad for quite a while, and that's just him to a T, that. But it's still, just because you'd expect things of someone because they usually perform doesn't mean it's any less exceptional when they do it. So I think Nat coming back in, I think, was brilliant. And the other one was Whitey. because that lad stood and watched all season. He's turned up for games. He's turned up and warmed up with Jamie. And he's very, very rarely got a glimpse. And I thought in the couple of league games that he played, yeah, he made, I think, one mistake for a goal against Litherland. But I think other than that, I think he played really, really well. You know, and considering the personal issues that the lad has to deal with anyway, and then not being selected to play for so long, and he's stuck with it, and he's been there. And I just thought those two performances were really, really good before he unfortunately got injured against Reno. So yeah, I think I'll go for West Cheshire in third and joint top, Natty and Whitey.
Right, so that's Yoz's nominations. Nat, I gave you the job of coming up with a nomination too. Did you come up with one?
Well, I did, yeah. At first I did text you about it, and then you said you can't have that, wasn't it?
It was Yoz, and because I knew Yoz was nominating you, I thought there was something dodgy going on.
Nah, do you know what? My hero he's sitting here actually, and it's not my half fella actually. My mate Chrissy there for becoming a publisher of a book.
Ah, nice one.
That's been spot on, lad. What you doing with that? Like,
have you bought one yet?
Actually, I did text you to buy one, didn't I? And you said your half fella's already bought about 100.
Oh yeah, he did. So, yeah.
He forgot his wallet.
To make a donation, lad. They loved it, mate. Yeah.
Oh, nice one.
Well, seeing as though he's teed you up for a beauty, Chris, come on, give us a free plug of what your book is, what its title is, where people can get it, how much it costs.
I think you all know, but it's a little idea that I had with me two girls in lockdown. A bit of their imaginations and my imagination, because I've got a bit of a vivid imagination when it comes to the kids. Bicky the Monster, it's loosely related to Midge because he loves cakes and biscuits and stuff like that. It looks like him a little bit as well, doesn't it? Yeah. And then so it's $5.99. Get it directly from me or on eBay, and hopefully soon to be a website as well. Should I plug your next book on here as well?
Yeah, of course you can. Go on. Well, we'll charge commission on it though.
Next book around August time. It's called The Kangaroo Bully, which is about a group of school children, a new kid coming into school who's actually a kangaroo who's a bully but turns nice. But I've actually reached out to the NSPCC. I've been communicating, just thought, oh, sod this, I'm going to email them. So I emailed them, and I'm like 90, without jinxing, 99.9% sure what they've done is they've asked if they can put their logo and their telephone number on the back of the book. So then if obviously any children reading the book and can't speak to the parents and that, if they feel like they're being bullied, they've got somewhere to contact as well. So that's good. I think that's good life as well. So
if you don't know Chris, if you want to DM the club, if you're interested in getting a copy, if you just DM us and let us know what your name or your number or your email is, and we'll put you in contact with Chris so you can buy one. Highly recommend them. Bought them for my nieces and nephews. They absolutely loved it. So, guys, we've got to decide on who's the hero this week. We've got some great nominations. I personally feel Chris should be ruled out, largely because he's going to be a millionaire off the back of this book, so he doesn't need any more awards, does he?
Natty to be him back from his long term.
Okay, so we've got a vote for Natty. Connor, who are you going for?
I'll go for Nat as soon as he's here. I'll go for Nat. It's really frustrating being injured. He's been out for a while and he's come back and smashed it. So yeah, go for Nat.
Splendid. Yours, have you got? Do you want to change your opinion? Are you going to stick with the one you were going with originally?
Yeah, I think so. I would, if you'd have let Chris back in, a little tear welled up in my eye there. When he was talking about his book and stuff like that. Not that I forgot about that. I just didn't think about it. I mean, the book's really, really good. It's that good that when he finishes it, Jack and Dude have said that they'll let us know what they think of it. We're struggling to get through the first few pages.
So just remind us who your nomination, who you wanted who came first. Then yours.
I went joint with Whitey and Nat, so I suppose it's another vote for Nat, isn't it?
Okay, and Midge, what's your vote?
It doesn't really matter though, Nat's what it's.
That got you out of jail, didn't it?
It did.
So, Natty, you're our hero. Well done, mate. That's another award for the trophy cabinet. Now,
I wear my cape when I come on there. Exactly.
Now, villains nominations. Chris, Con, you were given this job, and Midge, I think, did you get the villain one as well?
You did. I didn't have a clue, but I still haven't got a clue. But
all right,
I can make something up as I go along.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll start with Chris. Who was your nomination for villain?
My nomination for villain is Mr. Pollard.
Oh dear.
And the reason I'm voting for him is that at the moment he's got all the gear and no idea when it comes to video shooting, okay? We've all built him a gantry, we've painted this, we've done the other. And it all started, I think it was August last year, might even be a little bit before that. It was thundering down Manchester before in the rain, 3-2 winner. I popped up in like the 88th minute for a winner. Turned round, knee slid, celebrated, and there's Pollard underneath an umbrella with no camera out, nowhere at all. Not only that, a few weeks ago, again, an opposition player scored an absolute rocket of a volley. He missed that, right? He missed the pen the other day as well for Sam Alpin that I wanted to see back as well, just for my own curiosity, because if Sam would have done me that like I told him to, I was at the back post for the slot in, so I wanted to see if I was in a position or not. And there's that many that I can't even remember that much stuff you've missed. So that's my absolute villain.
That's a perfectly valid one. Connor, please tell me you haven't voted for me as well.
Bit like yours, I've got a couple and you are one of them, but for different reasons.
Okay.
On top of the bad filming, I put you as a villain because you've used the classic drug dealer tactics with your bread. You come and give us a little freebie and then all of a sudden the price list comes out and Mergy, the poor lad, he had a £15 bill for bread. So Mark Pollard number one, and then probably go with our own Anton Jack and Danny Mull for two reasons. Danny Mull for his haircut.
Which, I mean, we should put that into context, shouldn't we? He posted a picture of it in the group and quickly realised he put it in the wrong group.
Peaky Blinders.
And then laughing the whole training session at Chris taking the mick out of him. And he didn't actually know what he was laughing at, did he, when he found out? And then Jack Newton, because as we speak, he's probably sort of packing his bag now, about to go out lurking when the sun goes down and putting all his gear in there, his axe, his shovel. So, yeah, probably go for those three.
Oh, dear. Midge, has that given you any ideas?
Well, it's actually one of them was you.
Oh, fucking hellfire.
In Remacher away, little text or anything, what you want, lemon drizzle cakes, all that. Put a nice order in, end up with fucking 2 out of 5. Got 2 lemon drizzle and a French stick. I didn't even want a French stick. I threw that away. Paid for it and threw it away.
Oh dear.
No scones, no Danish.
Midge, I got one of them. It wasn't a French stick. We actually gave it to the cricket team when we got back.
He said it was fresh today. You lying bastard. So you were one of them. The other things, villains, I don't like is, and it's with professional footballers, and it's come right into our game now at amateur level, which, again, Jamie come unstuck with it, is cheating bastards who fall over and dive and go down as though they've been smashed by dude on a Friday night. Professional players watched it today, and when you were seeing the replay, you haven't fucking been touched. It's a game of footy, you're grown men. It's supposed to be a bit of a contact sport. The kid at West Kirby, remember, even his alpha on the line, nearly run on and smacked him. He started screaming before he even put the challenge in. And then, I don't know who it was, it might have been you, Chris, walked past him with the ball, and his alpha said, "You tart, get up." So well done, Dad, whoever you are. But yeah, Pollard, I think you're going to win this.
Well, I wanted to throw.
Can I add to that fucking postcode for the match last week?
Send some to Jeffrey Humbles. That's why he was late. I bet you got a fine off Pez for being late.
I still haven't updated that either.
I think collectively Pollard, after all them reasons that by the way, we just done about 5 different villains and how Lefty hasn't been nominated in any of them for whatever reason. You got away with murder there, Annie, but Pollard's 100%. Get yourself a little trophy, get yourself a t-shirt with Villain of the Week.
Yeah.
I wanted to. Well, I mean, it seems like it's a mute point at this juncture, but I wanted to throw Wes Kirby in for all their shenanigans. But yeah, Christ, I'm getting it for one of those 4, I guess, aren't I?
We'll have to get a mug with I'm upsetting people.
Right. Just before we move on to some predictions for the last 2 games, just to mention that we were running a competition to give away a couple of our old kits. It was all intended to raise awareness of mental health. It's Mental Health Awareness Week, so we're just trying to push it a little bit more. We do some stuff with State of Mind, which is a sports charity that helps raise awareness of mental health. So we've had a load of nominations. We're going to get the draw done on the Asheville game on Saturday. So if you have proposed or nominated your team, thanks a lot for the nominations, and we'll be in touch. And if you didn't, keep an eye out, because who knows, we might throw another competition out there. Have they got one more week for anyone to get in touch before? No, it closed. It closed today. Okay. Yeah, so at the time of listening to this, it is closed. If you thought, shit, I meant to do that, it's a bit too late, I'm afraid. So, but as I say, keep an eye out, because we'll probably do some more. The other competition that we run now, this got missed because we haven't done a podcast for a while. But does anyone remember that we had the first round competition? The concept being that the player who received the last yellow card of the season had to buy the first round at the awards do. Now, Pez still owes a round from last season, having finished the last to receive a yellow card booking. Who wants to have a guess of who's currently in the hot seat going into the last 2 games of the season?
I think it's me, innit?
It's Midge.
Paddy again.
No, it's me. I think it's me. I got booked, didn't I, today?
Give me the last 5 minutes of our last game, and I'll win it. No problem.
Didn't I get
tell the ref?
I got booked for a tackle. That was a perfectly legitimate tackle.
You did, Chris, but there was a couple of bookings after you, and whoever said Pez is absolutely right. Pez is currently looking at 2 rounds at the end of season awards due. Unless
2 games though. Hey, come on. You got Dylan and fucking Jay and Dippo.
To be fair, I don't think I was speaking to Jay last night, and he's going to be out for a while by the sound of it, like his ankle and that. Couldn't walk, what he was saying yesterday to me.
I feel I should back up Jay here and give him a bit of a defence, because I have to say some of his tackles do look like they should be on Crime Watch UK, and he does have a propensity to occasionally lose his cool, but he hasn't had that many yellow cards these last 2 seasons at all.
He hasn't. He's actually quite low.
He's had, I'm just looking at it now, he's had 2 yellow cards this season, and I think he only got 1 last year. Yeah, he got 1 last year. So 3 yellow cards in 2 years from Jay Hughes. That's not too bad, isn't it?
Playing under a different name. Yeah. Give him Pez's name in.
Everybody likes to have a go at the manager's kids, don't they?
So yes, Pez, make sure you bring your wallet to the end of season awards at the moment.
Listen, on the last game of the season, who have we got? Pulton? No,
we've got Asheville. We're going to come to the predictions now, but we've got Asheville away on Saturday, and we've got Malaby away the week after that.
Yeah, well, after the Malaby game, I suggest that we all go back to the club, or as many of us that can do so.
Well, I'm in Leeds, so I'm going to be pretty gutted if I miss Pez buying me 2 beers.
So it's basically the cameraman's not going to be there again. Is that what you're saying?
I won't be there for Malaby, so sorry.
But
I think that's an absolutely splendid idea, Mr. Hughes. Everyone can get back to the Chesh and have plenty of drinks to celebrate the end of the season.
Finishing 6th. We'll do it.
Europa League football.
Well, we're still all here, aren't we? So that's definitely
conference.
Looks better though, doesn't it? Finishing 6th and 9th or 10th.
Well, all right. Let's have your predictions then for the last 2 games. So we'll start with Asheville. Chris, what's the score going to be?
I was looking at this the other day because I was seeing obviously last 2 games and how we got on last season. So Asheville, we never played them away because of the lockdown, but we drawed in the cup and then we won on pens, 4-3 on pens in the cup. I can't remember what cup it was. I reckon we'll win them comfortably. I'm going for 2 6-pointers. 2-6.
Don't give me a spoiler for Malaby just yet. Let's just stick to Asheville.
Okay, we'll win.
What score?
3-0.
Are you going to score?
You might play. You put an idea in his brain before, didn't you? Yeah, I need to. Yeah, if we're the front 3, me, Connor and Pez, you'll smash it 1 goal each.
Connor, do you agree with that? Are you going to be one of those 3 goals? Have you got a prediction?
Yeah, I was going to say 3-1, but I'll take 3-0. Me to score the first with a header. Chris at the back post as it's pulled on from the left, and then Nat from the edge of the box.
I haven't scored for a while, have I, mate?
But I'm thinking that half volley from training last week, like something like that comes in, that Jamie saved. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Nice.
Go on, Midge, put it down, Ronnie.
Yeah, go on, Midge. Give us your prediction.
I think we've always done well against Asheville away. 2-0.
2-0.
I'll take a pen, Dicko, and Pez, free kick outside the box.
Well, you say that. I was actually going to be interested to ask Pez whether or not Dicko gets back on there. Maybe Yoz can come into this when he gives us his predictions. Who's going to be on penalties now? Because obviously Dicko normally takes them. Pez has stepped in his injured absence, has slotted it away under huge pressure in the dying minutes of the game to salvage a point. He's chasing top goal scorer for the season. So Yoz, in addition to your predictions, are you going to wade into the penalty fiasco? Because normally it stays with the last scoring penalty taker, doesn't it?
Can I just chip in before yours says anything? I am top goal scorer and I take the pens on a Sunday and I score with a pen today, but that's neither here nor there, is it really? Go on, yours.
Thanks, Mark. I don't really think it's a fiasco, is it? You know, there's 2 games to play. It's dead close between the 3 lads. Chris and Connor won't be playing anyway. Pez can take the corners, the free kicks, the throw-ins.
Fucking Jimmy Grimble.
And what's your score prediction, Gaffer?
I like the 2-0. I will win 2-0.
Okay, and Nat, last but not least, what's your prediction?
Well, I'll go, because we're shy of strikers, I'll go 1-0. 1-0 pen. Be nice, that.
Is that going to be a turgid 1-0?
Yeah. Horrible foul.
Fucking hell. We don't want to ring you up, do we, if we want cheering up? and go on.
Into your arm, fella, there, aren't you?
I know. I was going to say on the basis of that miserable prediction, let's go to you first for the Malaby one. Then, so come on. How grim and awful is the Malaby game going to be?
I don't think I've ever played against Malaby out that long, haven't I?
4-1. We beat them last time away.
What was it?
4-1 last time away.
4-1. Go ahead. I'll go 4-1 again then. She's just moaning about me being miserable.
It's gonna be a turgid, horrible 4-1 victory.
4-1 and Mark's not even there to film it. You know what I mean?
Midge, what about you?
Well, considering you're not there, I think we'll win 8-0. And Pez will get 4.
And
Chris will get 3. And Connor will get 1.
Connor, what's your prediction?
I'll go for 5-0. I'll go for 5-0. And I think I'm going to get a hat-trick. I don't think Chris is going to score in this one. And then I think Jack Newton's going to score, finally. He scored?
Has he not scored, has he?
No.
Yeah, he's going to score 2. He get a brace.
Wow.
He scored his first goal in training the other night, didn't he, Con?
Yeah, he did.
Own goal.
Like that, and he scored.
He's trying to rebrand himself.
Seal.
Do you know what? I was actually listening to a podcast. I think it was the Leeds podcast, and Patrick Bamford was telling us a story about how I think at Nottingham Forest he was playing against a lad who used to count the goals he scored in training in his season total. So it was like, how many goals you scored this season? Oh, I've scored 15. How about you? Oh, I've scored 220. Because 215 of them were in training.
Still count.
Well, I suppose they do. Yours, what's your prediction for Malaby?
2-1 win.
Nice. Do you want to go so far as to predict the scorers?
Yes, I think Pez will get 2.
Excellent. And Chris, last but not least,
I'm going to go for 2-0. Me with Shoe and double. That's what I go. Just while we're on Jack Newton, by the way, I don't know if some of you know, we had a bet at the start of the season. It was Jack's idea, actually. It was Jack's idea. It was his money.
Was he drunk at the time?
No, it was a friendly game we were talking about because he played well in a friendly. Can't remember what it was, and he got 2 assists in the game. So done like the Trent and the Robbo thing. So it was 50 quid cash on the end of the season. It was he got 5 points for an assist and 10 for a goal. So I think he has to score about 6 goals and maybe about 4 assists in the last 2 games before I take 50 quid off him.
Ouch. And Jackson all the penalties.
Jackson everything.
Right, guys, I think that's touched on everything, unless anyone's got anything else they want to throw in the mix. No?
Oh, well done, Ross, winning someone of Ross's family winning the bonus ball.
How much did they win?
70 quid again.
Oh, very nice. And if someone wants to get involved in that, they want to throw us some money to do that, how do they do that?
Well, it's £2. Is it £2 a go? Is it
£2 a ball? Yeah, and we have got 3 balls available.
There we go.
Get in touch with the club. Get in touch with me.
Yeah, just drop us a DM on social media, and we'll make sure that you get all the information you need to get involved and win 70 quid as well. That's not too bad on a return on your investment. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll draw a line under it there. We'll probably pick this up again after the final game of the season, and when we could perhaps do a bit of a season overview, maybe a quiz on some of the stats going around, like who's the top goal scorer for the season. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you've enjoyed listening, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
Good night. Good night, boys.
Get social at Cheshire Lions FC on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter.